Chapter 40 of Little Masterpieces of American Wit and Humor, Volume 1. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Adele de Pignaroles. Little Masterpieces of American Wit and Humor, Volume 1. Edited by Thomas Lansing Masson. Our Sumatra Correspondence by Oliver Wendell Holmes. This island is now the property of the Stamford family, having been won, it is said, in a raffle by Sir Stamford, during the stock gambling mania of the South Sea scheme. The history of this gentleman may be found in an interesting series of questions, unfortunately not yet answered, contained in the Notes and Queries. This island is entirely surrounded by the ocean, which here contains a large amount of saline substance, crystallizing in cubes remarkable for their symmetry, and frequently displays on its surface, during calm weather, the rainbow tints of the celebrated South Sea bubbles. The summers are oppressively hot, and the winters very probably cold, but this fact cannot be ascertained precisely, as, for some peculiar reason, the mercury in these latitudes never shrinks, as in more northern regions, and thus the thermometer is rendered useless in winter. The principal vegetable productions of the island are the pepper tree and the breadfruit tree. Pepper being very abundantly produced, a benevolent society was organized in London during the last century for supplying the natives with vinegar and oysters, as an addition to that delightful condiment. Note received from Dr. D.P. It is said, however, that as the oysters were of the kind called natives in England, the natives of Sumatra, in obedience to a natural instinct, refused to touch them, and confined themselves entirely to the crew of the vessel in which they were brought over. This information was received from one of the oldest inhabitants, a native himself, and exceedingly fond of missionaries. He is said also to be very skilful in the cuisine peculiar to the island. During the season of gathering pepper, the persons employed are subject to various incommodities, the chief of which is the violent and long-continued sternutation, or sneezing. Such is the vehemence of these attacks that the unfortunate subjects of them are often driven backwards for great distances at immense speed, on the well-known principle of the Aeolipile. Not being able to see where they are going, these poor creatures dash themselves to pieces against the rock, or are precipitated over the cliffs, and thus many valuable lives are lost annually. As during the whole pepper harvest they feed exclusively on this stimulant, they become exceedingly irritable. The smallest injury is resented with ungovernable rage. A young man suffering from the pepper fever, as it is called, cudgelled another most severely for appropriating a superannuated relative of trifling value, and was only pacified by having a present made him of a pig of that peculiar species of swine called the peccavi by the Catholic Jews, who, it is well known, abstain from swine's flesh in imitation of the Mohammedan Buddhists. The bread tree grows abundantly. Its branches are well known to Europe and America under the familiar name of macaroni. The smaller twigs are called vermicelli. They have a decided animal flavour, as may be observed in the soups containing them. Macaroni, being tubular, is the favourite habitat of a very dangerous insect, which is rendered peculiarly ferocious by being boiled. The government of the island, therefore, never allows a stick of it to be exported without being accompanied by a piston, with which its cavity may at any time be thoroughly swept out. These are commonly lost or stolen before the macaroni arrives among us. It therefore always contains many of these insects, which, however, generally die of old age in the shops, so that accidents from this course are comparatively rare. The fruit of the bread tree consists principally of hot rolls. The buttered muffin variety is supposed to be a hybrid with the cocoanut palm, the cream found on the milk of the cocoanut exuding from the hybrid in the shape of butter, just as the ripe fruit is splitting, so as to fit it for the tea table, where it is commonly served up with cold. There, I don't want to read any more of it. You see that many of these statements are highly improbable. No, I shall not mention the paper, the autocrat of the breakfast table. End of our Sumatra correspondence. Recording by Adele de Pignaroles.